I'm here with Sheryl Crow. Sheryl, welcome to the Peace Hall.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
What do you think of the place?
Oh my goodness. I mean, this is what I love about coming over here is that you realize how young your country is, for one thing. And it does put you in your place. You know, it's very humbling when you realize, oh, America isn't, quite as know everything and right about everything as you think it is when you're living there. Because you walk into a place that's hundreds of years older than your country, and it's like, oh, yeah, I get it.
It's a spectacular venue, isn't it?
It's beautiful. I had a fantastic sound check, and I can't wait to play.
Congratulations on the new album.
Thank you.
It's been brilliantly reviewed.
Oh, good.
Do you still get nervous about releasing music?
I don't. I don't want to sound bitter at all, but I've aged out of being relevant. Do you know what I'm saying? And in that, there's some liberation. I write whatever I want to write. I'm very blessed that I have a record label that lets me do that. They don't say you need singles because in this day and age, we don't know what that is anyway. And so, the only thing I go is I hope people that feel the way I do hear this and it brings them some comfort and some hope, and that they feel like they're not alone. There's a lot of sort of head scratching on this record.
And it's called Evolution for a reason.
It is, and I tell this to my kids who incidentally do say I was born in the 1870s. I was around before all of this mishigosh, before social media and before, for all intents and purposes, before the internet and before cell phones. So you lived in a town that felt like its own world, Now we're hyper-connected, and we're looking at AI square in the face. And what is that going to mean? And when you're raising kids and trying to explain to them that the spirit and the soul can never be outsmarted by a computer program, even though it will be smarter than us, and that art is where that is born, and art is what documents who we are throughout our evolution. So when we start relying on AI to create that for us, then who are we? And that's really where the record began. It began with this concern over, we're using AI to bring back John Lennon, and we're using AI to have George Carlin make a whole special, and we're creating programs where you can pay $5 and upload anyone's voice to sing your demo. I mean, things that to me feel kind of terrifying.
Tuesday Night Music Club came out in 1993. How do you think the music industry specifically has changed since then?
Oh my goodness. I think it's changed in every way possible. I remember shortly after that record came out, we were all dealing with Napster and the thought that people would be able to steal music. And then the labels rushed in and created DVDs, and then we were able to actually digitally rip off music, high quality. But I think there was a karmic exposure with that, where people paid $2 for a cassette, but then all of a sudden you bought your music for $18. And the record labels got rich and the artists didn't. And I think everything was wrapped up in everything else. And now we're at a point where people not only do they not feel like they should pay for music, they've not had to ever really pay for it. So why would they? And we're at a point now where the music is so accessible and the attention span is so short that we don't even know who listens, who owns music, it's the Wild West, And I'm grateful that I got to be around when the tradition of buying an album, of listening to a whole song, even to a whole album, was a social experience, and that we shared in that. And we went and stood in a room with strangers, almost like being in church, where you go to church and you sit with people you would never hang out with. But in that room, you're doing it, you have a connection. Same with music. But now we have music and everybody stands in the same room, but they've got their phones up to make sure they can say they were there. So it's all different, you know.
I'm not sure anyone ever watches those back, by the way.
I know. Well, they post them.
Yeah.
Yes. So
one thing that I guess hasn't changed that much in the 30 or more years now since that first album, that amazing, famous first album of yours, is touring.
Yeah.
Have you always enjoyed touring?
I really feel like I have always made records in order to go out and play.
Yeah, right.
You know, although I love the process of making records, and I have up until this point loved producing and playing lots of instruments. It is all, I think, a means to an end, and that is getting out and having a communication with other spirits, not to sound woo-woo, but that is basically what it is. And that is the one great thing about music, is that AI can't replicate the live experience.
Can you describe how you feel when you step out on stage?
I mean, I guess in some weird way, I don't know. I mean, I guess there's a spiritual experience for me on a good, like from moment to moment, in those good moments where you feel like you're out of your head. You don't have that inner voice saying, oh, you didn't reach that pitch, where you're actually singing and connecting with somebody you've never met and will never see again, knowing that you are now a part of each other's molecular experience. It's like Carlos Santana says, you change the molecules in the room. Music is a physical experience, and when you make eye contact with somebody and you seemingly share an emotion, I mean, isn't that what life is? For me, that's what it's like.
Which of your songs do you like playing live the most?
Oh gosh, that's so hard, but I do.
Choose your favorite child here.
I know. It's hard. I mean, I love playing My Favorite Mistake for a number of reasons. I mean, it was an easy song to write. In fact, it was so easy that I called lots of different people and sent it to them and said, did somebody already write this? Because it's so familiar to me. And I'm not going to get sued. But it just plays itself, and there is that, doesn't everyone have a favorite mistake? Somebody you just love, but you knew this is bad, but you still love them, you know? And I don't know, I love playing it.
Do you still love All I Want to Do?
I do. I feel a sense of gratitude about that song. There was a time where it was just like, I dread playing that song. And then I wisened up, I mean, that song took me all over the world. We played it in St. Petersburg. We played it in Tel Aviv. We played it in Tokyo. We played it in Bogota. I mean, it's amazing to have a song take you all over the world. And it is a gift, truly.
And how are the new songs from Evolution fitting into the mix?
I had a very funny conversation with Lionel Richie a couple of years ago where he's like, we've got to go on the road. We have a whole night of hits. And then he said, do you know when you play new songs? And I was like, no, when? And he goes, never. Because he's like, nobody wants to hear the new songs. They only want to hear the old songs. But we are sliding in a couple of new songs, and they play themselves beautifully. In fact, one of them is the Peter Gabriel cover that we did on this record called Digging in the Dirt, which I have a very close relationship to. So hopefully people will enjoy them. We're definitely going to play the hits, though.
Will you do a tour with Lionel Richie?
I'm waiting for him to call, okay? I would in like 1 second.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, it would be fun, actually.
Sheryl Crow, thank you so much.
I don't know if you're hearing this, Lionel, but